Eddie, you're going to explain to me about your role here.
Yep, so my name is Eddie Kendrick. I am a gambling addiction counsellor here in Spafield Family Resource Centre, and that's my role here.
Okay, talk to me a little bit more about people that are coming in looking for help and what the problems are.
Yeah, so there's a lot of people come in seeking help for their gambling problems. Some people might be very much in addiction. Other people are just kind of realising, geez, I want to change my behaviours here with my gambling. And yeah, it's men, it's women, it's all ages from 70 down to 19 or 20. People might have found themselves falling into the trap of gambling, whether that's going into bookies or whether online on their smartphones. It can be done through sport, horses, GA, soccer matches, and also online there's a lot of different things going on now, like online casinos, online bingo, online slot games. So there's a whole host of everything that I see in here.
Do you think that the phones and a lot of the smart devices are a big problem nowadays going forward?
Yes, like especially the last 5-10 years, gambling has really moved onto smartphones. I think the actual numbers is like about 70% of gambling revenue is coming from technology rather than actual bookies' offices. And that has made it a lot more accessible. So before, the gambling shop opens at 11 or 12 and it closes at 9, whereas your phone, you have it 24 hours a day. So literally you have a casino in your pocket for 24 hours a day. So of course there's going to be more gambling because of that, because the access is always there.
The sad thing about it is when a person is drunk, you see it drunk, obviously coming from alcohol. But when it comes to addiction, you don't see it.
With gambling, it's very different. Yeah, with drinking drugs, it's obvious to other people. They can say, Jesus, I think you might have a problem, or it's noticeable. Whereas a person with gambling addiction, it's easy to go in and out of a bookie shop and people won't notice. Yeah, you might be just going in for 5-10 minutes, but you could lose a lot of money in 5 or 10 minutes. Likewise, with the phone, everyone's on their phone now anyway. People are scrolling Instagram, Facebook, all the rest. So I could be just on my phone here, scrolling away, and everyone is none the wiser as to actually what I'm doing, and there could be a lot of gambling done in that time frame.
It is a serious addiction, isn't it?
It's huge, it's massive. Like in Ireland, we're the second or third highest spenders of gambling in the world. There's an average of 10,000 spent every minute in Ireland, which is absolutely phenomenal.
Serious amount of money.
Yeah, a lot of money, and it's everyone. It's all across the board. It's not just people. It's people who have plenty of money and who lose plenty of money, but it's also people who don't have the money to lose. But it's all very much, it's all relative. Like people who have more money, they'll spend more money on it. People who have less money will spend as much as they can on it. But there's people literally gambling and going hungry for 3 or 4 days just to continue gambling. They'll actually not eat.
Would you accept that there's a lot of sports people out there while they're playing matches, they're actually gambling at the same time with a mobile phone in their pocket, etc., or inside their sock or whatever? It's another issue.
Yeah, like I haven't came across a whole pile of that myself, but I know that there is stories out there of people who have done that, or they're gambling on their own games, or even I think the other side of it is that the actual sport is their break from gambling. Like I think you hear Oisin McConville talk a lot about that, where he go out and he plays football game, and that was his break. Whereas straight away afterwards, it's back into thinking about all the problems that they have. So yeah, sports players, yeah, it's across the board. It's everyone. It doesn't have to be necessarily a sports player. There's plenty of people who aren't sports players who are gambling as well. It's everyone. It's everyone.
Not only that, but look at the impact on families.
It's huge. Like they say, for one problem gambling, there's 7 people affected by it, other than the gambler. And in Ireland, that is estimated to be nearly 300,000 or 400,000 people who are affected others. So there's a lot of people impacted by gambling in Ireland, not just the gambler themselves. And a lot of people think, okay, we'll just heal the gambler. But as every family in Ireland, everyone that will be listening here will have been touched by definitely drink addiction. Somewhere down the line there's been drink addiction. It doesn't just impact the drinker, the children, the partners, uncles, aunts, grandparents, parents. They're all impacted with the stress, the tension, the money loss, the lies. All that is happening all the time. And with gambling, that's amplified because it's so secretive. It's often at the very end of a person's gambling, or at the point where they actually seek help, that the family realise, Jesus, what was actually going on? Because again, as you said at the start, with a person that's on drink or drugs, it's visible, you can see it. With a gambler, a person could be gambling 3-4 years and then payments stop being made. Maybe the mortgage is going into errors. Maybe they haven't been able to afford the shop for the week, maybe Christmas presents, maybe the piggy banks, and maybe the kids' piggy banks money starts going missing. And they're all stories I've heard, they're people I've met. That stuff starts happening. You start robbing money. And all that is unnoticed until maybe a partner or friend or family member or parent sees something or catches something, or that bill isn't paid, and then they go, what's actually going on? And oftentimes the gambler, that's actually the best moment that they've ever had in their gambling, because they were like, oh, thank God, somebody has finally found out and now I can stop. Whereas before that, they feel they have to keep in it. And to be fair to a lot of gamblers, they're often trying to win the money back. They think, we get very delusional. We all get delusional at times, with gamblers even more so. They think, right, I'm going to win it back, I'm going to win it back. That idea, chasing losses, you lose, I'm going to win it back, I'm going to win it back. And they keep digging themselves into that hole, and they don't win it back a lot of the time.
Many is the time we have often looked at Facebook or any social media platform, and you see gamblers, you know straight away, it's what I won. They never tell you what they lose.
100%, yeah. Like I had the privilege of living and working in a pub for years. My family owned the pub, and you'd hear a lot of people shouting and bawling when they've had a win, but them same people for 5 or 6 hours, they've been gambling. You might hear 1 or 2 shouts a day. They certainly haven't made all their money back. But just on the topic of social media that you say there, you know, in Ireland the past year and a half, there is gambling regulation bills coming in, but they're slow to actually get going, to get rolled out. And a big problem is Facebook, Instagram, all the social media platforms. That's where we're getting our advertising. So I've seen on my own phone, you're scrolling and then next thing pops up, Paddy Power, €10 free bet, which is very, very unfair for people who are actually in gambling addiction, because it's like dangling a pint in front of an alcoholic. You know,
they're trying to suck you in.
They're trying to suck you in. They're trying to suck you in. These free bets, these VIP treatments, you've seen it before, that people get really sucked into it, and that's not fair. You know, if you have, like, if you think of it through drugs or drink, it's like if you're trying to stay away from drink or drugs and your barman or your drug dealer starts coming up to you, you'd say that's crazy. But that's exactly what's happening in people's pockets on their smartphones.
It's not just men.
No, it's not just men. There's a massive increase in women gambling as well. The forms can be different. So men, traditionally, it's horses, bookmakers, sports games, matches, dogs. Whereas for women, yes, women can also gamble in those things, but you might see, like I've seen a lot of scratch card addiction. Some people spend mass amounts of money on scratch cards. And again, it's the same thing. You're getting the excitement from the scratch and what's going to come after. Again, you're waiting for a horse to win or a match to be over, the excitement of that, or the escape from that. But women, you can see a lot of the time, there might be addiction to scratch cards, as I said, but also online games, online casinos, bingo, roulette, and also slot machines online. The platforms that make these, they're made by really, really smart people who are trying to hook you in. They're trying to make it as beautiful, as amazing, as interesting as possible. Loads of lights, loads of colours, to try and make it addictive. We're all addicted in some sense to social media. You know, people who use social media, they might, you know, you might say, right, I'll stay on 5 minutes, 40 minutes later, you're still using it. That's because it's made in a way that's going to suck in your attention. And gambling companies are using the exact same technology, they're using the exact same people to hook you.
Do you think that companies, sports clubs, organisations, they could do an awful lot more?
Yes, I do think so. Like, I think I play soccer. I think a lot of clubs, they don't want to deal with that. They pay lip service to mental health, to addiction. They might have an officer in the club, but it's not really the role isn't taken that serious, and I think it needs to be taken a lot more serious. Just that the awareness is out there, that there is help. And I can know from my own experience, I got in touch with a lot of clubs, a lot of people, very little feedback. Very little people actually saying, okay, do you want to come out and talk to us or something like that, because that's something that we offer here as well, that I can go and talk to your club, talk to members of the club, talk to families, talk to schools about what the signs to look for. But literally 1 or 2 people got back to me, and that's very disappointing. Very, very disappointing.
It's all about making the first step, isn't it?
100%, yeah. Like, as I said earlier, a lot of the time with gambling addiction, it's the person gets found out and then they're like, okay, and then the family member can help and say, right, let's go get the support that you need. But some people, I have met people as well who haven't got too far into addiction. Like, a lot of people, you hear that you have to scrape the bottom of the barrel before you get help. That doesn't have to happen. If you realise, Jesus, I'm falling into this trap, I'm spending a bit more money than I want, this isn't what I want for myself, I'm noticing that I can't afford this or that, or maybe I didn't eat for a day, or maybe I can't buy the clothes or the car that I want. come then, rather than waiting for it to get to the depths of despair before everything is destroyed, because that can happen. Like houses, families can be destroyed, kids can go hungry without clothes. You don't have to get to that point. Come as early as you realize, geez, this is a problem. It doesn't have to be all out addiction if you come to me. It's like I'm not always meeting people who are at their worst with addiction. It's you can come before it gets to that state. We're here to help at any level, at any stage of addiction. And it might, and you know, a thing that my mother used to always say to me is like, the addiction word can scare off a lot of people. If you have a problem with a substance, a drink, with gambling, then come. If you notice that this is a problem for me, that's the point where you can actually make a change.
Solution.
There is a solution, yep. And for everyone, it mightn't be abstinence. You know, it's not. We're not trying to make you stop gambling. We're meeting you where you're at. If you're not ready to stop, that's fine. If you want to look at cutting down and maybe changing your habits and maybe trying that for a while to see if that works for you, maybe that works for you, or maybe it is abstinence. But there is a solution. There is people that can help. Myself here, we're in Spafield Family Resource Centre. In Cashel, we offer problem gambling service. I'm the addiction counsellor here, and yeah.
How can you be contacted?
You can contact us through, there's 2 phone numbers, so you can contact Spafield on 062 63622, and also you can contact me directly on 089 946 7712. If you don't want to talk, that's fine, just send me a text, and there's also an email address if you want to use that, and that's Kendrick, which is Kendrick, at spafieldfrc.ie.
Eddie, for anybody that has been affected by this interview, what's your advice?
My advice is to seek the help that you need, to have that conversation, especially if you're a family member and you think, Jesus, my partner, my child, whoever is impacted, just open the conversation, and maybe that's the moment that they're waiting for, that, oh, Jesus, thank God, somebody's actually noticed this and I can actually come forward about it. But to realise it's not a weakness of character, it's not a bad trait in somebody. Every family in Ireland is impacted by addiction. Myself, I don't drink anymore. We all have somebody who has been impacted, so it's not a weakness. Again, as I said earlier, these companies are making these apps, and gambling companies are advertising in a way that's going to make it really appealing. Look at Paddy Power, the adverts that they do, they make these funny adverts, they have really, you know, people look up to Peter Crouch and things like that, and, you know, different jockeys, and they're talking to you and trying to get you in, they're luring you in. Likewise with the devices, they're luring you in. But also now, just something that I just need to mention as well, like there is this thing called the gamblification of sport. In the Premier League, in the last 3 or 4 years, 60 to 70% of teams, their sponsors are gambling companies. So it's everywhere. It's everywhere. If something is everywhere, we're more likely to be caught by it. It's going to catch our attention. So again, don't see it as a weakness of character. It's the conditions in your life. Maybe it's you had a big win and you thought, geez, this is easy money. Maybe you're thinking about it differently. Maybe you're just using gambling as an escape, because a lot of people, they might be suffering from trauma, they might have issues in their family, maybe there's a lot of stress with the kids, with work and all the rest, and it's just, I want to escape for this moment. So when they're gambling, they get that bit of excitement, they get a buzz, and they don't have to think about their problems. And that's why people use. So just, I suppose my last bit of advice is to come forward, to see that gambling, drink, drugs for you has been the solution and not the problem, and now it's time to find another solution.
Eddie, it's been a pleasure speaking to you.
Thanks very much for having me.
Thank you again for joining us on tiperiatown.ie.
Appreciate it, thank you.